So, hello everyone, my name is Konstantinos Michos. I am a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Valladolid in Spain. And today I will present you our paper. As the title states, we focus on teachers and learner analytics design. And I will present you two case studies, which are actually two different projects from Spain and the US. Charles Lang is also here, and she can explain further information regarding the case from US. I was involved in this work during my PhD in the University Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. And I will start this presentation by explaining the reason why we focused on teachers and learning analytics design. We actually see a growing body of studies that highlight the importance of involving stakeholders in the design of learning analytics systems. And this might refer to teachers, students, or technology-enhanced learning experts. In this paper, we highlight the important role of teachers. And we connect this with research in learning analytics design, which is actually seeks to develop some knowledge around the use of learning analytics and their practical implementation in educational settings. During this process, some practitioner needs might be explored, such as problems encountered during teaching and learning. And this practitioner input has been actually explored or investigated in research strands such as action research with learning analytics or teacher-led inquiry. In this process, teachers follow inquiry cycles where they start from an initial problem or question, then they investigate their own or college's practice with the aim to improve teaching and learning. As you see here, we differentiate two types of learning analytics information that can be presented to teachers. On the one hand, information presented at design time, and this might help teachers to, for instance, reconfigure the task design, and information presented at runtime, which might allow some orchestration actions and, for instance, to manage learner groups. However, we see that in learning analytics design research, certain challenges have been documented and regard teachers. One issue is that this type of information might not answer important questions for teachers. For example, to what extent they understand how the students perceive the learning. On the other hand, learning analytics information might not consider teacher data like the task design. And even when teachers have this type of learning analytics information, there might be a variety of possible actions to take. And this can be influenced by their priorities. Those learning analytics need to be configurable by teachers, and they should allow a certain level of control and agency by them. Thus, we think that it's reasonable to further investigate teacher input in learning analytics design, where different factors might be influence this process. These factors relate to their beliefs they have about teaching and learning, their previous experiences with their students, and some practical constraints, for instance, the time they have, technology they use, or the resources. On the other hand, some problems defined by teachers need to be aligned with learning analytics and actions that have some pedagogical grounding. Considering all this context and the challenges I presented before, we formulated the question on how to involve teachers in meaningful learning analytics design. And when we involve teachers in this process, what are actually the main problems and some solutions that emerge or challenges when involving teachers in learning analytics design? In order to do that, we conducted a case study research where we contrasted two cases, where in both cases we involved teachers in designing learning analytics systems. In the one case, you can see on the left, the first project took place in Spain, and teachers received training in learning design and learning analytics. The aim was to develop teacher communities around learning design. In the second case, the main goal was to develop a scripting language for learning analytics, which will be informed by teacher input. As you can see from the information presented here, in both cases, teachers were K-12 teachers, and we have seen limited research conducted with K-12 teachers, and especially teacher professional development programs. And here are some examples of tools, learning analytics tools developed in the first project. So we co-designed with teachers a community dashboard, which was linked to a community platform. And on the other hand, we co-designed with them an inquiry tool where they could document and share their data-informed reflections. These are just some examples of the tools co-designed with teachers. In the first project in Spain, we conducted teacher professional development programs where teachers had to follow an inquiry cycle. By inquiry cycle, we mean that they designed a learning activity, they implemented in the classroom, and then they reflected with relevant analytics. As you can see in one photo here, teachers were jointly reflecting with learning analytics. In the second case and project, teachers followed a process that called grounded data exploration, where they started from an initial problem or goal, and then they described a case where learning analytics can be useful to solve their problems. In this case, teachers, they didn't implement their learning activities. During the two projects and the two cases that we analyzed, we gathered different types of data. For instance, in both cases, we conducted interviews with teachers and focus groups after the workshops. And we analyzed their workflow. For example, in the Spanish project, we analyzed the design and admin and reflection on technology-enhanced learning activities. In the other case, we analyzed the data use scenarios described by teachers. However, in order to analyze both projects and cases, we focused on the main identified problems by teachers and through this process, and solutions that emerged for challenges regarding learning analytics design. Although we analyzed two completely different contexts and in two different countries, we found some common topics and issues that applied in both cases. In the first case, the first topic that we identified relates to scaffolding, and teachers needed additional support to define the problem and their initial question. Moreover, teachers tend to focus on classroom management or time management, and this appeared in both cases. However, we identified case-specific topics. For example, in the Spanish project, we saw that teachers reflected basically based on their experience or with some informal discussion with their students. And the time constraints were hindering the systematic data collection. In the second project, other problems related to the difficulty to divide a teacher problem in sub-components and also to concentrate on easy-to-count metrics. We also identified common solutions and challenges in learning analytics design. In both cases, teacher collaboration promoted the problem definition and learning analytics interpretation. And we saw this through the interactions of teachers in the workshops, but also in their online interactions. Additionally, teachers highlighted in both cases the need to translate the data that they can collect or they collected to improve the instructions they give to their students, for example, differentiated instructions, or to improve their learning designs. A third common issue was referring to the early consideration of student privacy and some long-term consequences that this could have. In the first project in Spain, we also identified that qualitative information were needed to align learning analytics with learning design, for example, feedback given by students, and teachers required easy to understand and explore data visualizations. In the second project, teachers identified as solutions reminders for them or auto-grading. So what we take from all this analysis is that although we involve teachers in teacher professional development programs and completely different cases, we identified some common issues that we formulate them as lessons learned for involving teachers in learning analytics design. We here provide some additional evidence from these points and some other references that link to this evidence. For instance, the first important point is that is the need to focus on problems of teacher practice and consider their priorities, for example, classroom or time management. The second point refers to scaffolding, and this needs to be done in between the problems that teachers identify and the learning analytics. This scaffolding might be part of a teacher professional development program or a building tool. For example, it could be linked to a learning analytics dashboard. Third point refers to teacher collaboration, where we saw that teachers, they highly appreciate this aspect and actually to share the use of data learning scenarios. Fourth point regards the actions taken by teachers after considering learning analytics, and this can be related to the real-time management or the redesign of the learning activities. Finally, we propose the ethical use of learning analytics needs to be informed by teachers' concerns and the contextual knowledge of their students. This work has seeks to contribute to human-centered learning analytics, and in particular when involving teachers in the learning analytics design. It could further inform teacher professional development programs for learning analytics. And with respect to scaffolding, we differentiate between tools and processes. Tools, there might be some learning analytics dashboards, and then this needs to link to some solutions to problems or generation of questions. Another issue that we have experimented regards the documentation and sharing of teacher inquiries, which allows shareable data-informed reflections. And finally, further research is needed to understand how learning analytics can be linked to pedagogically data-driven actions. These are some references from this presentation and also from these two projects. Thank you very much for your attention.